Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the No Sleep Club, Year 13's podcast.
Episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about ATARs.
We are. But first things first, I'm Blake, as always.
And I'm Hamish, product manager here. Blake is product designer with me. Look, we thought No Sleep Club, let's start a podcast. We've been here for a while now.
Yeah.
So
Hamish and I are sick of just talking shit to each other all the time. We thought maybe some other people should join in. So yeah, we're just here to do it in front of you, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
it's
far.
great. Hopefully it gets a bit of traction and you guys actually enjoy what we're talking about.
Yeah, hopefully.
So Blake, ATAR is the focus today. We've got ATARs coming out for Year 12 around Australia in a couple of days, about a week and a bit. And then obviously in Victoria, they've been pushed to day before New Year's. It's a very scary time. It's also a time that you celebrate a lot. So I'm super keen to hear about your ATAR experience.
And I too am super keen to hear about your ATAR experience.
Awesome. So let's kick it off, right? You're in Year 12, or you've just finished Year 12. You've done the HSC. What were you feeling?
Okay. So for me, I studied like stupidly hard in the HSC. Like at one point I'd memorized 13 essays. Yes, 13 essays for ancient history because there were 13 potential questions. So I memorized an essay literally for every single potential question. I wouldn't advise that you study that way. It certainly wasn't easy. Oh my God, I have so many study stories actually. I used to tie batteries to the end of my pen.
I've seen this, yeah.
In order to weigh the pen down so your hand gets stronger while you're writing. And then, when you're in the actual exam, you're supposed to feel light as a feather in your hand.
Were you smashing protein shakes and steroids
I
as well?
also used to spritz my papers with like a certain scents because apparently, your
triggers.
Yeah, your scents trigger like memory. So for different subjects, I had different scents.
You are such a nerd.
I was the biggest nerd.
That's smart though. I mean,
right?
At least you thought about it. Shit.
So yeah, I studied pretty damn hard in the HSC. I remember. I can't really remember if I was nervous for, surely I was. I would have been freaking out for the results to come out because the results come out the day before, right? And then you get your ATAR the next day. Yeah. So I remember getting my results and being pretty happy. They were all, good results. I was actually a bit frustrated. I did 11 units. Yes, sorry.
So
11 units.
No, you did 5 subjects plus 1 like extension.
Yeah, and then that extension subject was the one that I did the worst in. So I was kind of annoyed that I even took it. But got the results, was pretty happy with that. I remember being on holidays with my family and we decided to go, for when my ATAR came out, we decided to go to a public space because I didn't want to I didn't want to have a outward reaction, didn't want to be too upset. I knew if we went to a cafe or something I could contain myself. I really planned this whole day out. We were sitting at a cafe or on holidays in Lennox Head and I remember getting the text message come through and got the results and I was stoked with the result. I fell very silent and like.
Can I ask if you're comfortable sharing with us, which obviously you are? What was your ATAR?
So I got a 98.85,
Ooh,
which was
shit. Damn, we got a smart one over here.
Yeah, which obviously all that memorizing paid off. I just remember falling very silent. My parents asking me what I'd got and I couldn't even speak.
Were you happy with that?
Yeah, I was very, yes, yeah. I was happy with that. So I was really stoked. That was kind of it. From there on, I was really lucky. With that ATAR, I sort of got pick of the litter in terms of what I wanted for uni. So I was pretty stoked from there on. Like I didn't have a lot to worry about. After that, for me, finishing school from there was just lots of parties, lots of spending time at the beach. My schoolies was non-existent.
What did you do? You went to Fiji?
No.
Who's that?
I went to Melbourne with 2 of my friends, one of whom was 17, so we could not
enjoy it.
We could not enjoy our schoolies to the fullest, let's say. But yeah, no, I remember the end of school, and I feel kind of bad talking about it at the moment because obviously school is not going ahead for everyone this year. But I mean, my school wasn't great, so you're not missing out on too much, I don't think.
Yeah, well, my school is just completely the opposite. And if you're anything like me, you're missing out. I'm sorry.
But let's flip it. What was your ATAR day like?
My ATAR day, if I remember correctly, actually, let's peel it back a little bit. So I remember sitting in school in our pastoral care, we got ATAR estimates. And I think I got my ATAR estimate at the time would have been, I think it was 80 to 85 or maybe 85 to 90. That was when I was doing okay in some subjects. I started to really flop in biology.
Did you feel like that, did getting that ATAR estimate motivate you, or did it make you feel too comfortable almost? Or
almost too comfortable, yeah. I kind of hit cruise control after that. So yeah, I had biology, which I was struggling with quite a bit, and business studies maybe, I can't remember, but there was another one. And so I was performing quite well in maths, in English, in agriculture, and then I had business and biology. Yeah, that's 5. Yeah. And yeah, I remember going into the HSC just studying like crazy, mainly the biology and business, because I was like, biology, I was like failing, I was like all right on the cusp.
Right.
And then I managed to get, my results were like 87 or 88 or something in biology. But the problem is because I was focusing so much on biology, agriculture kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit. And because that one, the scaling of ag is, pulls you down a bit. So you actually really have to be performing quite well, which I wasn't. So, well, I was, but I did it in the HSC. So I remember getting my ATAR. I remember getting my results, and I was proud of the improvement in those subjects, business and biology, because like both of them I did quite well in the end. But then obviously I had English and agriculture kind of took a hit because I wasn't focusing on those two too much. So that was disappointing to get those guys. And I remember getting my ATAR. I was talking to Tom, Matt, and Blake about this earlier. I actually didn't get 80. I got 79.15. So I was just telling everyone I got 80. And it's funny, my girlfriend Bianca, she does the exact same thing. She does 79 point something, and she just tells everyone she got 80. So for the first year of our relationship, we lied to each other.
About your ATARs. That's the really
ATARs.
Important stuff that you're lying about.
And then I remember I just was like, hey, B, I've been lying to you. She was like, thinking I cheated on her or something. I was like, I've actually got a 79.15 ATAR. And she was like, me too. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, no, I was disappointed, I guess. But at the same time, like Geordie and Sax and Will, they'd started Year 13. So I'd kind of had my foot in the door there to an extent. So
ultimately didn't matter a whole lot.
No, well, it's a hard one because it's like I never really expected to stay here this long, I guess. I didn't know. I was so concerned and anxious about sort of this business because A, it was quite young, but B, also like whether I'm going to fit the mold, whether I'm going to be able to swim in this sort of environment. And look, truth be told, as I think I spoke about in the first tab, I bounce around sales, marketing, product. Let's be real. I was struggling there for a bit with it. But yeah, since finding kind of product, it's definitely found my groove and I feel more capable than ever for the role. But I guess what I'm trying to say there is my experience was very different to a lot of young people. But I'm sure now that, actually no one's got their ATARs yet, but when you do get your ATARs, you just you don't even remember it. You just start partying. That's all. I'm sure.
Yeah. What happened after you got your ATAR then?
Well, it was actually Year 13's first HSC later party.
That's
at Greenwood Hotel.
Yes.
Which was awesome because I was getting free drink cards left, right, and center. I was the popular one there.
They were pretty legendary. The old HSC laters.
They were big. They were a lot of fun. So yeah, I spent the back end of of 2014, after I got my ATAR, I started to train a heap, doing like kind of calisthenics, like waking up early in the morning. I'm not an early morning riser. So like doing that sort of stuff, going and training. I was getting super fit. Schoolies. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
And we'll leave that.
We stayed in the Islander, the infamous Islander. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about.
On the Gold Coast?
On the Gold Coast.
Right.
It's the cheapest accommodation. So you get some colourful characters in there, myself included. That was a heap of fun. Parents, teachers, principals who might hear this would not want me to say that all you do is just drink for a week, but that is literally what you do. It is a lot of fun. You get to hang out with your friends, let your hair down. I was very lucky in the sense that in that period, well, I'd always, as I said in the first ep as well, I was working kind of throughout high school. So having a job, I was earning money. I was able to afford things. So that was really good for me in that period. But then, as I kicked off here at Year 13, as I said, it was quite daunting, quite scary. I never knew what I wanted to do. Hey, like I still don't really know. Like
that's
I
cool.
enjoy
We're
tech.
all just still figuring out.
Exactly. And I think that's probably my like advice to sort of anyone who is worried about the future or worried about their ATAR is. It really doesn't matter. Like I think Sax, our founder, like I think he's proof is in the pudding there. We'll be getting him on here later. But proof is in the pudding there. Like he had a low ATAR. I don't think he ever actually checked it.
No.
And look at Year 13 now.
Yeah.
Like, there's real like I think people get think that their ATAR defines who they are. But I don't think I've been asked about my ATAR since up until this.
You're asked for like the 2 weeks after you get it, and then
you add some GST
just never
on
again.
Add some GST on
just some
it.
GST. I mean, like I wanted to be asked more, and I wasn't. So no. I think we were actually quite lucky in that we both got relatively decent marks. For people out there who maybe are worried that it could be a mystery mark or it could be not what they expected. I just want to say, like, it's hard to say it doesn't matter because right now it does feel like it matters, but I just want you to know there's so many other options out there beyond the ATAR. And once you get it, you'll realize that it's not like all doors are shut to you now. There are so many ways that you can get to where you want to be. Even if that is uni and you maybe didn't get the mark that you need to get into the uni degree that you wanted right away, there's still so many ways to end up there. Like not a lot of people maybe know about pathway programs, which
big time
most universities have.
Majority, I mean, what you got like WSU the college,
UTS in search. Yeah, like pretty much every uni's got their own little program for people who maybe didn't get the mark that they needed. Essentially, it's like you complete a diploma course in you kind of learn how to study, I suppose, in a lot of them, or you might actually be sort of doing a diploma course in the particular degree that you're interested in. And then you can sometimes even get fast-tracked into second year uni, so you're not actually losing any time at all. And even if you're not doing that kind of pathway program, a lot of TAFEs offer courses as well that then lead you into a university course, or you don't even need university if you don't want it. Maybe you'll just stick with that TAFE course and you're good. Maybe you'll get into a job and you feel happy there.
Big time.
Like I think, don't think that if you don't get the mark that you're looking for, that you just can't do what you wanted to anymore. You just got to find another way around, and there are so many of them.
So many options out there. Yeah. And look, I think, what you said it before, like it might feel like it matters. It does, I guess. It does matter to an extent. In the sense I think because
it's kind of a reflection of what
you've
did.
learned the last
and maybe
years,
if you put in a good deal of effort and you didn't quite get the result that you wanted, that could be really disheartening. But at the same time, you've got to remember the ATAR is such a strange calculation.
I still don't actually understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fully get it either. Like, it's different in different states as well. But at least here in New South Wales, I know that different subjects scale differently. So
and then your school's performance scales you differently as well.
Yep. So how your peers perform.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a bit of a messed up story. I went to an academic selective school.
No. You went go to Manly Selective?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
And what happened at our school is that we were all sat down at one point and told to pick up our game, because if we all helped each other and if all the sort of more academic kids helped the ones who maybe weren't doing so well, we could pick up the tail, it was called. They were called the tail. And we would all do better together. And so there's some screwed up stuff going on like that. So I don't think you need to believe that the ATAR is a true reflection of how much effort and that you put in, and maybe your skill either, because your skill might be in areas that just don't scale well.
Well, I mean, what's the age-old saying? If you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it's always going to think it's dumb.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah, I mean, that's exactly what my parents said to me throughout that whole experience, that whole time of my life. You know, getting your ATAR, they said like, I was about to swear. We're incredibly proud of you and the work that you've put in. And I think, you know, like I was super proud of my mark. Yeah, like, yeah, cool. I could have got 85 or I could have got 90 or 95. But I knew at the end of the day that, especially when I looked at, you know, biology and business study marks, I was super proud of it because I knew that I'd given my all during that period, especially once you finish school and, you know, you don't have a teacher looking over your shoulder and it's seriously onto you to study. Like I was so proud of that. And I think that, regardless of what mark you get, as long as you've given 110%, like your mark doesn't matter.
Important.
Like your mark seriously doesn't matter as long as you know deep down, because as we said, no one asks for your ATAR. And like the last thing you'd want to do is say kind of, I mean, it's a bit late now for the people getting their ATARs, but I guess it's for year 10, year 11 students who might be listening, is that, give it your all. Give it your all. Whatever mark you get, be proud of it, because you know that you've given it all.
Yeah, you know,
and that's the thing. You don't want to necessarily half-ass it, get a poor mark, and then, you know, further down the line be like, shit, I wish I just, you know, pulled my head in when I was in year 12. Look, like I know one of my mates he got the new PlayStation 4 at the time and just played the PlayStation the whole time.
Oh man, I watched from season 1 to season 4 of Breaking Bad somehow during my HSC as well. So
I remember going over to his place and like I just done like a whole, you know, started at 7 a.m, finished at like 2 p.m, like, you know, what's that, 5 hours. And I was like, sweet, I'll go hang out with my mate. Go over to his house and he's just playing like rugby league live. And I was like, oh, you done any study? And he's just like, I haven't studied at all. And like now I think, although he hasn't explicitly said it, I think that he wished he had applied himself a little bit more, because as shit as it is, it does open up doors for you, having a good ATAR or having a ATAR, something that you've applied. But at the same time, as you said, there's pathways to absolutely everything now. But yeah, I mean, he dropped maths because it was challenging for him. Now he's selling cars where he's working on commission, you know, and he's actually really good at math. Like the other day we were sitting in the car and like, can't remember what it was. We're paying for dinner for a mate's birthday.
Yeah.
And he goes like, oh, it's, you know, $470. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's $90 each. And I was like, what? So you drop maths? Like, how are you doing that? But yeah, I mean, I guess anyone who's getting their ATAR, who's worried about their ATAR, like, don't stress. Like, you'll make your way. It's not the end of the world if you did flunk out a little bit.
We actually used to work with someone who is a very intelligent girl, but she did not try much at school. But she knew she really wanted to go to uni. So what she did when she got her ATAR, which was not particularly high, she just called the university and asked if she could come. She was really passionate about the particular degree she was interested in. And the university let her come in for an interview. She was obviously super stoked and really wanted to be there, and they could tell that. She got into that degree that way. So literally there is so many different ways you can actually get into it. And
I think the most, what's the word without swearing? What the worst thing about the ATAR structure and the UAC admission sort of structure is that it is purely based on how many students are interested in that course.
Yes, like it's a supply and demand thing.
Like that's it. Like you'll see that if no one was studying to be a doctor, the ATAR requirement for a doctor would drop down considerably.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because isn't sports physiology or something, the ATAR is like ridiculously high.
I think when I was at school, sports physio was quite low because I remember I think you and I were talking about this like last year. I was talking to someone in here about it. It was like quite low, and then a lot of people started doing it, and then it bumped up all of a sudden to like 93 or 92. Like it's literally just supply and demand. It's like it's how they get people in. And look, I'm not going to sit here and rag on UAC, but like don't just because you might not get into a course doesn't mean that you're not appropriate for that course or you're not appropriate for that job down the, at the end of the tunnel. It's purely based on, supply and demand. Yeah. So, hold out, and also don't stress, like just because you get the marks for a course doesn't mean you necessarily have to go into that course. Yeah. That's another thing as well. I feel like people who get particularly high ATARs feel like they need to do the course then that matches that level. Like, I actually I got into a course that I didn't think I would get into, and I, for a while, really heavily considered doing it just for the pure fact that I got the mark for it. Whereas I knew I actually preferred a different course at another university. Joke's on me because I ended up dropping out of university. But I think that's just another danger as well of the ATAR for maybe those who do go well, is like, don't think that because you have to do something that maybe you're not super passionate about, but you feel you must do. Definitely just take the time to decide as well. Like if you want to take a gap year or whatever, to make sure you're making the right call, do that. And then definitely. Yeah. So I'm a big advocate for gap years for this exact reason. Like if I didn't take, because I mean, when I first started working here, I was in a day or two a week. I was working with Bill, who actually used to own the office. So I was working, 2 or 3 days a week, but I'd consider that a gap year in the sense that I wasn't working full time. I wasn't studying. I was having my fun. But like if I hadn't have taken that, I would have gone and done, a finance degree, at Macquarie. And I would have probably finished it now or last year or 2 years ago. Finished it now and probably would have hated it because I hate finance. So, but like that was the thing. Like I got into the course. Like I wanted to do business, I think, a business course. But I didn't get into it. And my plan was, okay, go and study finance, maybe segue across if that door opens up. But like I would have just gone and studied finance and probably hated that first year, probably felt very, I'd have a lot of doubt in myself because I wasn't keeping up. I wasn't enjoying the content because the people around me were, like I'm grateful that I took that time. And that's the thing. A gap year doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be go traveling Europe. Someone turn that television off. Doesn't have to be traveling Europe or going overseas, but it can just literally be getting a job, working, finding your feet, and then they're making your decision. And you've actually just reminded me of one other thing I want to touch on, which is if you do start a university degree and you do get a little bit down the track and decide that you're not vibing it, you don't really feel like this is the path for you, just change or drop out. Once you're in, it's bloody easy to it's actually pretty easy. Yeah, that's another like sort of pathway into different degrees, is if you just sort of start in one, you can actually segue into other degrees as well. So I know a lot of people do like an arts degree and then change into like an exactly. Degree. I know a lot of people who started in arts, in order to get to law. It's just like maybe an extra year or 6 months in the arts degree, and then boom, you're where you want to be. Awesome. I think we're going to take a little bit of a drinks break. Yes, let's take a break and we'll come back with a special guest. Woohoo.
Oh, hi. My name is Tom. You're probably wondering why you're hearing me or seeing me right now. And let me tell you why. No, be quiet. Well, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Year13, because nobody wanted to work with us. But that's okay. Because we want to let you guys know about our free post-school plan. So what's a post-school plan? That's a great question. A post-school plan may help you discover where you want to go in the future and more about yourself. You can compare a bunch of different jobs and roles from a whole bunch of different industries. So figure out what you want to do with your life by completing your own personalised post-school plan.
What a great drinks break.
Best ad break I've ever heard of.
We're very lucky. We've got a special guest in today, someone who, I don't know, what would you say? Would you say you like the ATAR, Sax?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Who has strong feelings towards the ATAR at times. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, but this is our founder, Saxon Phipps.
Woo! Put the fake clapping in.
Thanks for having me on. I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this, and it's something which I'm pretty passionate about, and I've got a fair bit to say. So thank you for having me on as one of your first guests.
No worries.
It's our pleasure, mate. It's our pleasure. You keep the lights on, pay our wages. So Sax, let's start from the beginning. Your high school experience. What was it like?
High school for me was always a real struggle. I was, pretty much quite young for my year. And so the idea of, I guess in retrospect, I look back at it and realize that I wasn't very capable of learning in that environment. And I think that really inhibited me to be able to kind of enjoy the process of learning through school. And so, rather than learning, I was more so just remembering things to try and get through. And I guess that really compounded into a lot of feeling quite inadequate and not feeling as though I was ever going to be able to achieve anything, kind of always failing exams and being painted as the dumb bloke with my friends, and kind of everyone getting exam results back, and kind of there was a lot of excitement in the room, and mine would always be, I'd always be disappointed or scared to get those results. So I didn't necessarily enjoy learning through school, but I enjoyed being at school, and I kind of found my place as sport was always my outlet and kind of my biggest pursuit, and I guess a couple of creative subjects, but I only again recognize that now. But so I really struggled I never really had good marks. I never really was seen as a student who was going to be a dux, but I guess coming to the end of my tenure at high school, I knew I wasn't going to go straight into higher ed. I think because of that struggle, I knew that wasn't going to be my best decision. And I was really lucky to be able to have that moment of clarity to be able to say, cool, let's just take some time off and work it out as we go. And I know that that's not the common thought, and there's so much pressure put on you to have an idea of exactly what you want to do and where you're going to go and where you're going to be in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. And so I was really fortunate to kind of finish and just go off and throw myself into every odd job humanly possible.
Cool. You touched on something there about higher education. While you're at school, did you ever feel that higher education was actually achievable?
I guess in the subjects that I enjoyed, I was always compelled by learning, whether it was doing, design and technology, whether it was doing, I really enjoyed English and history, in some of the other ones like hospitality, because the practical side of it. But the thing was that those subjects didn't necessarily scale well. So what happened was
scaling.
Yeah, it's a bizarre type of thing that, if you choose a subject and it's going to scale badly, then you kind of build this negative connotation towards that subject and that perhaps as an industry or as an occupation. So, I guess that pursuit was very different. And I didn't actually acknowledge that I was really interested in those things because I was kind of told that they were bad or that they weren't as much value compared to doing other subjects.
Yeah. And then I guess you said it really well there with the industries that they're not necessarily seen to be of equal value.
Yeah, I mean they're called category B subjects, right? Like even just the connotations of that are kind of bad in a sense. which is unfortunate because it's closing a lot of doors instead of maybe opening them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start to just kind of squash a lot of those intrinsic motivations and motivators. Like I've always enjoyed building things. I've always used my hands. I'm a really practical person, but that wasn't seen to be as of value as someone who was very analytical and could perhaps be better at, mathematics or science than someone who can actually is a good problem solver. And I think that's one of the big issues with the current, how a lot of people transition, is that they're not able to identify what that actually is and what the principle is. Like sport for me was always like determination, drive, having a role within a team. Like I knew what my responsibilities were. I knew how that contributed to, an end result. But with school and subjects, I never had that understanding. And I don't think a lot of people still don't have that understanding.
So Sax, back in your day, mate, because you're a little bit older, it was called, what was it, a UAC score?
No, UAI?
UAI, that's what it was, UAI, see? I'm too young for this. But do you remember getting your UAI or your ATAR? Do you remember it?
Yeah, funnily enough, I remember the whole process. I remember getting my my results back first and was really happy with my results. Like I'd got marks better than I expected. But the thing which really kind of screwed me over again was the scaling of those subjects towards my ATAR. And so I actually never opened up my ATAR. I remember sitting out the back and having it in my hand and being like, oh, am I going to do this? Am I going to do it to myself? And funnily enough, there was a lighter sitting out near the barbecue, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to be disappointed. I'm happy with those results. And I actually lit it up and set it on fire. So I don't know what my end result was. And it's, still to this day, I'm really pleased that I don't know what it was. And
it's good. I was going to say, did you regret that at all ever?
No, never. Like, I think it's character building. It's like, and you hear it a lot. You hear so many people say, oh, it's the most important thing. Or, for the first kind of 2 weeks, it's like, oh, after you get your ATAR, it's like, what did you get? And it's all a validation metric. Like, it's like, how many likes did you get on your Instagram post?
Yeah.
Like it's really, that's a modern day kind of analogy for what it is. It's like, does it really matter that someone got 150 likes versus you who got 30? Like, it doesn't. So I'm really happy that I never did. I guess, looking back at the time, it was quite daunting, and I had to face, that 2 week challenge of people asking but I just found it fun by telling people different scores every time.
Getting different reactions.
I got 76, I got 92, I got this. But no one really had any idea.
Very good.
And so, Sax, when you finished school, what did you do?
As I mentioned, I kind of threw myself into every odd job humanly possible. And now, again, when I look back at it, some of those experiences and what I did have been fundamental towards the development of kind of starting a business. So I worked in bars, cafes, in retail, worked as a brickies labourer. I worked as a steel fixer. You name it, I pretty much did it. And then throughout that, I was just building all these skills and understandings of different industries and building networks as well, which is, I think a lot of people don't really understand what you're doing by throwing yourself into those roles, being vulnerable to starting something new and at the bottom and cleaning dishes and picking up coffee cups and doing all that. But, it builds resilience, it builds your characteristics, builds your skills. And upon doing that, I did that for 12 months. And then I was lucky enough to be able to take myself off backpacking by myself. I'd heard different stories along the line of people that had gone backpacking, and I'd never left Australia before and had gone on a family holiday with my parents or my family ever. So I took myself off backpacking, and that was probably one of my biggest achievements and most character defining moments of my life, because when you're in another country for the first time on your own, you haven't got your parents around you or your friends, you haven't got a group of people. It was just, I had to do everything myself, and I met people from all different walks of life, and that was pretty much my first kind of 12 to 18 months out of school.
Sick. Yeah, I feel like at that point you start to realize that your ATAR is pretty insignificant when you're out in the big old world and meeting all these people who obviously don't care or wouldn't ask what it is.
Oh, exactly. I remember my first night in Vietnam. I was staying in a hostel, and there was an ex-MD or general manager from Goldman Sachs, and he was like 36 or something. And that's at that time having no idea what Goldman Sachs was. I just thought it sounded fancy. And then to realize it's, a global brand. And this guy was just like, don't rush into a career. Like, I spent so much of my time in my life chasing this thing. And it's like, I'm now backpacking by myself as a 36-year-old. And I think that really put a lot into perspective for me, that you kind of, when you're caught up in, a culture or a society of like, you've got to do this, I've got to follow everyone. You often don't, you've got blinkers on and you're not actually looking at anything. And then you meet people from all different walks of life and different perspectives and opinions. And then you start to build up your own opinions. And that was kind of a big realization for me in doing that. And still to this day, I'm 31 now. And I still reflect. I know. I'm old. I'm old. I still reflect on those experiences and meeting those people and how much that's been such an impact on my life.
Amazing.
Now, you've obviously, we're here at Year 13, a well-established brand. Can you tell us a little bit more about sort of that journey?
Yeah. So when I came back from traveling, I just saw a lot of friends that had that proverbial idea of success. They got ATARs better than expected. And then that whole idea of don't waste a good ATAR, go off and do, I'm not going to discredit any industry, but high ATARs. And these guys they went off and started doing that. And I came back with this wealth of knowledge and experience, being the kind of the dumb guy that failed, and I'd worked all these jobs and had all this experience and been overseas and came back. And then these friends of mine were just caught in this rut, and I didn't really realize it was mental health at the time, but so many of their mental health was just deteriorating. Like, it was out of control. They were, studying 3, 4, 5 days a week and then working late nights. And then it was really compounding for them. And then I had, my little brother, he was finishing school and wasn't able to find work. He got straight into university, wasn't able to find work for, a good 6 months outside of school. And that was when he kind of came out to me and asked me if he could, pardon me, if I could help him get a job. And that was a real moment of like, well, why isn't there something that actually helps you finishing school? Why can't you find somewhere where you can just get any sort of experience, be able to pivot and change? Why is it that you have to make this decision that you have to stick with forever? Because I had friends that didn't want to drop out, and all they would ever talk about was dropping out. They were scared of going to university, or they were scared of going to work, or they were scared of doing their whatever it was. And but then on the other side, I had friends of mine who had dropped out, gone off and started doing apprenticeships, had done some travel themselves, who were, very introverted people originally, that had kind of this new wealth of experience and change. And I was like, well, why is that seen as such a secondary option to the kind of the first? And that was the real precedence and the kind of ethos behind Year 13, allowing people somewhere to kind of go, all right, cool, that wasn't right. Where else can I go? What else can I do? And did some research, looked around. My business partner Stubbs, kind of linked up with him. He'd had his own journey and experiences, and we just said, it was funny. I remember I was turning 20 at the time, 21, being like, oh, I'm so far behind all my friends that have gone into uni or that have done apprenticeships, and like, it was kind of caught behind the 8 ball of things. And then now when I look back at it, I was like, God, we were young to even start then. So, yeah, that was the kind of the vision and the foundations of Year 13.
Amazing.
Beautiful. I've got a couple more questions for you. I know you're on a tight schedule, busy man. Now, obviously we've got Year 13. Have you done any study kind of since school to upskill yourself to help yourself run the business, or was there any sort of qualifications that you've studied?
Yeah, I'm consistently learning. It's not just through qualifications. I did go through TAFE and do a diploma of business management, which was incredible towards developing a business. Like, even if it's just the basics of SWOT analysis, writing a business plan, marketing initiatives, kind of putting yourself into that train of thought, because there's no experience quite like starting a business, or there is no experience quite like it. And so, whilst I was learning from a textbook and learning these principles and processes, I was applying it straight away. So, and then I'm gaining real world experience. So that's my only true qualification. The rest are all kind of short courses that I've done in understanding different disciplines. And then We live in a world now where there was education is so widely accessible. So I use, a lot of books, a lot of reading, and then understand those principles and apply that to my role now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, I've got one final question for you, Sax. What would you say to someone out there? ATARs are coming out on the 17th in the rest of Australia, 30th in Victoria. What would you say to someone who's either worried about their ATAR or, expecting a low ATAR? It is stressing them out.
I think the biggest piece of advice is recognize that emotion, just, reason with it, understand that, you may feel disappointed. I remember feeling bitterly disappointed, but looking at things through rose-colored lenses is a great perspective to have. I think you can just acknowledge the fact that you've got through 13 years of high school or of school. And, it's kind of like an acknowledgement, in a lot of Indigenous communities, there's a rite of passage and kind of this is yours. So just acknowledge what it is and reflect on what you've been able to achieve over the past 12 years to get to this point. And now know that, the world is your canvas. You've got so much opportunity, more than any other generation. And I know that for a lot of this year's year 12s, the idea of, not having schoolies the way it was meant to be, not having graduation be the way it is, and, with travel being off the cards for the interim, here is a chance that no other generation ever got to have, where it's almost like this stop phase where it's just cool, reassess, look at this, look at what you are intrinsically motivated by. Why do you like playing sport? Why do you like cooking? Why do you like making music? Why do you like listening to music? What is it? Ask you the what and the why, and then use that for your next step. Life's a game. And so I think the more that you can actually be strategic with what you want to do and the type of person that you want to be, the better that the outcome will be. When you align, I think this is one of the cool things that I've stumbled across with my career and experience of, doing something that I'm really passionate about, even though it was so hard to start. It was something that, I believed in, and then my business partners believed in, and then we were able to hire some other young kids that believed in us, who are interviewing me today.
The tables have turned.
You start to work with like-minded people. You start to see opportunities and see the world in a really different paradigm and perspective. So to anyone that's feeling inadequate, who's feeling disheartened, who's feeling stressed, who's feeling worried, I actually think that you guys are the lucky ones to be able to kind of have that now and have this clean slate. And so I think, it's hard to say don't stress, so don't take it with a grain of salt. But have an optimistic view on this and use it as motivation. It's always been a big driver for me, that I was always really motivated at the fact that I didn't think what the perception of me was different to how I actually valued or saw myself. So I think if you can take that mentality and that mindset, you'll be a very successful person post-school.
Amazing stuff.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Beautiful. Well, that's all we've got for today. Thank you very much, Sax.
It's been awesome having you on.
It's been an
Thanks
awesome
for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. And good luck to all the year 12s out there, and everyone else who's going through this same transition. Hopefully we'll see you come through to year 13.
Definitely.